Today's video was selected for you by my gorgeous patrons, so thank you very much to them for making this selection. And if you would like to be involved in future video polls and also have access to the Discord, the one card riff video every month and other privileges as well, check out the tiers. I will leave all the information down below. Hello, my darling transpersonal turtle doves. Welcome to my channel, where we will today be discussing what constitutes a good, strong, robust question for your tarot cards. A question that will give you the most return on your investment of time and energy for yourself, or indeed for your querent if you are reading for somebody else. I first of all want to ask the question, are questions necessary? That will be the first thing that we will be talking about today. I am going to go into loads of other things. The timestamps are your friends. Make sure you get a beverage, because as usual, I've put a lot of time and effort and work into the notes for this. And I really want to give you the meat and potatoes of the answer to this question. So I want to just begin by asking that question first, but there is a lot more to come. Are questions necessary? We do not always need to use tarot to answer questions. And by the way, the tarot deck that was featured in the intro for this video is the Cosmic Slumber Tarot, which I absolutely adore, and you can find an unboxing of it on my channel. I will leave that down below. I actually quite like just looking at the cards face up. I like going through them, reflecting upon them, whilst I keep a particular thought or a particular focus area in mind. I might be going through something that might be painful, or it might be confusing, and rather than actually ask about the situation itself, I actually quite like to simply reflect on what the cards have to give to me on that topic. And it will be a case of just looking at a bunch of cards and thinking, what can this card tell me about the situation? What can this card tell me about it? Or indeed it will be path working, and I have a really old, like it's as old as God's dog, but I do have an old video on path working, which I will put down below for you. So you can use the cards for path working if you want to. You can use them just for simple meditation. I've written here that you can also journal about how they're making you feel and what that might mean. You know, so for example, you could have the cards face up and do that. You could have the cards face down, and you could just put 3 cards down, no questions, no positions, you know, no focus areas, and simply just journal or just think about how those cards are making you feel. How are the images making you feel? Why do you think those cards came up? You can invite your guides to get involved if you want to, your deities, your ancestors, if indeed you do tend to call upon them when you are doing any kind of divination. So there doesn't actually need to be any questions put forth to the cards at all if you are not really a question-oriented person. I know that there are lots of people who use their cards without necessarily placing spread positions onto them, and it's literally just a sort of meditative tool. I also know that a lot of people, you know, they simply just don't even have a focus area. They don't even have something that they're worried about, or something that they're questioning, or, you know, something that's really on their mind. They just like to dive in to the cards and see what comes through, you know, see what might occur to them when the cards are laid out. So maybe, you know, people who do daily draws, for example, I know many of them do not have a question in mind, a focus area. It's simply a general, you know, card for the day, and what that card is giving to you, what you might see during the day that might remind you of that card and that card's themes. So are questions necessary? Not always. And so I think that's worth bringing in first of all. If you do have a question or a focus area, you know, an area of worry, something that you are trying to figure out right now, you can also do a lot of really good work with the cards face up, you know. I call this conscious drawing of the cards. So you actually could decide, okay, well, I am in a situation right now, and I would say that I am represented by the Empress in that situation. So I'm going to put that down. That's me. Now, let me try and think. The situation is about work. So what kind of card would I use to symbolize my boss in the situation? Well, maybe I would choose the Devil to symbolize my boss. So I'll put the boss there next to me. And then I've got this associate at work. Now, how would I symbolise the associate? Maybe it would be Queen of Torches, you know. So you're actually painting a picture. You're doing face-up focusing. And that also does not require you to ask any questions necessarily of the cards. It's more asking yourself the question, what card would I choose? So it's not like you're waiting to see which cards will come up to answer your question. It's more like you already kind of have a creative duty to paint a picture using the cards. And I have many times asked my clients to explain their issue using tarot. So right at the beginning, right off the bat, I'm asking you, are questions necessary? Maybe they're not. Maybe you just want to path work with a card. Maybe you just want the cards to keep you company. Maybe you even just want to shuffle the cards and just lay them out and just think about them. Maybe you want to lay all 78 cards out on the floor. Any of that stuff, more than acceptable. You do not always need to be asking tarot cards questions, especially if you do not necessarily know yet what questions you would like to ask the cards. And you can also just, you know, turn all of the cards face up, and you can actually create a painting of what is going on, and you can use that for your journaling, you can use that for your meditations, or you can use that to have conversations with people who are helping you, like friends, or like if you have a session with me, for example, and I can say, oh, that's interesting. Okay, why are you the Empress in the situation? Why is your boss the Devil, etc., etc. When we actually name specific positions for cards, and then we lay them out and we turn them over, and each sort of card has its own specific job, we've given it a spread position, if you like. That is a very powerful way of reading, though. And so, although I've given you those other suggestions, most of the readings that I do, like 85%, 90% of the readings that I do for my clientele and for myself, are based around having spread positions for each of the cards in the spread. There is a design that is created, and it's a template design or it's a custom design depending upon what's needed, and we actually have a named position for every card. Let's talk about some of the not so powerful named positions, questions, for example, that we would ask cards. I've got a list of them here. Potential problem questions, okay? All right. First of all, notice if your question is loaded or leading. And this is whether you're doing a 1-card spread or whether you're doing a 25-card spread. Every single time you choose a question that you're going to be giving to a specific card that you're going to be turning over, make sure that it is not loaded and it's not leading insofar as you can decipher. So what do I mean by that? Something like a loaded question might be, why am I falling out of love with my amazing husband? Why am I falling out of love with my amazing husband? Seems like it could be an empowering question, but it assumes that the husband is amazing. The husband has no wrongdoing attached to him. You know, the husband is not at fault in any way. And really, it's all about you, and the onus is on you to figure out, why the fuck can't you just love this amazing man? And actually, that sort of stops short of the fullness of the investigation that you could have. But because you have a bias in thinking that your husband is this amazing man who has done nothing wrong, doesn't have any real duty to improve, hasn't done anything that should make you love him any less, because you hold that bias, you have brought that bias to the card. You've brought that bias to the spread position, you know, to the question that you're going to ask the card. So something like that could be considered loaded or leading. Another question that I've written down is, how can I succeed in my incredible workplace? Seems like an empowered question, right? Seems like a really good, strong question to ask cards. However, again, you are making the assumption, or you are holding with you the bias that your workplace is incredible, and that really the onus is on you to succeed in that incredible workplace. And so we are missing our opportunity to explore the workplace. What is the nature of the workplace? How might it not be so incredible as it seems on the surface? And so that question can be tinkered with a little bit as well. So instead of asking, why am I falling out of love with my amazing husband? We could ask something like, Why am I falling out of love with my husband? You know, I mean, just taking amazing out of it, I think, takes the bias out of it. We could even ask, like, how can I, you know, what can be done? What can be done? Yeah, what can be done to save the marriage if indeed you want to? What's going wrong if you can't see what's going wrong, you know? And then here, how can I succeed in my incredible workplace? Well, I think the word incredible can be taken out. You know, it's an adjective that forms a bias around the workplace. So if you just say, how can I succeed in my workplace? If that's everything that you want to know, then that makes the question stronger already. The actual plucking out of that particular word, incredible, just neutralizes the workplace as a place that you work. And then you can go from there and you can really sort of investigate. And if possible, if you're using multiple cards, you can say, you can really sort of delve into, like, you know, further into your workplace and how it functions and how it might be better for you, or how improvements could be made so that you can succeed, not just putting the onus all on you to succeed in your incredible workplace that you've decided is so incredible, but also, like, let's take that bias out and let's look across the board at the workplace, at your role within the workplace, you know, maybe at how it functions as a whole. And that's when I think we can really cook on gas and get some really good things out of the spread. One question, or one type of question that I would probably consider to be weak, I think, is a question that you don't really care about. You know, you can ask, like, dummy questions for practice. Are we still saying dummy questions? Is that okay? I don't know. But, like, you can ask a question that's just, like, fake. You know, just make up a question if you're doing it for practice. Don't ask about things you don't care about in your life, because I think that can actually be really confusing if you're thinking about a real scenario that's going on in your life or somebody else's life, and you are applying the cards to that. You know, sometimes that answer that comes out of that reading can start to mean more to you than it ever was supposed to mean to you in the first place, because in the first place you didn't really want to seek advice from the cards, and yet you did so because you were practicing your tarot, or you just wanted to play with your tarot cards. I think that can be a little bit of a dangerous alleyway to go down, so I wouldn't do that. And also, I think sometimes other people want to know certain things about your life or about how you feel or whatever. Maybe friends or partners are pushing you, but maybe you don't want to know the answer, and maybe it's not something that you want to explore. Just one example that I'll pull right out of my brain box right now, out the top of my brain. Maybe your partner is really curious about whether or not you're going to want to have children in the future. And maybe you have only been with that partner for a few months and you are in your 20s and you don't really know yet whether or not you want to have children, and it's not something that you have been pressed about so far. It's not something that you felt stressed about so far, and you certainly do not want to explore it. Why would you use the cards to explore it? Just to placate that person, that partner? Tell that partner to cool his fucking boots and wait instead of reproductively coercing you, okay? Very important. Okay, we have arrived at the big daddy, the one that I think I'm going to take the most time to talk about, and the one that I think is the most important and comes up the most often, and that is yes or no questions. A question where the answer can either be yes or no, and that is it. Why do professional readers so often discourage yes or no questions? Why are you asked to reframe your question if it is a yes or no question? I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about the downsides of that. I certainly do discourage yes or no questions. I want to talk about why that is and get into it, okay? So a yes or no question is not always wrong, okay? But I don't personally like them. As a reader, I do not answer yes or no questions. I encourage what we call a reframe in tarot. When you reframe the question, you basically just sort of like rejig it so that it, you know, makes sense as a question that is broader. So the answer is going to be, the answer could include a number of different things, or it could be more expansive, or it could be deeper than just yes or no. You know, should I marry this man is a yes or no question. I would never answer that question. And there's a few different reasons why I would never answer a question like, should I marry this man? One, they stop the reading short, you know, and I like my readings to last for an hour. My readings are 60 minutes. We go deep and we explore a lot of different things yes or no questions are simply just, you know, they stop the reading dead, basically. I might be able to say something like because, so no, you shouldn't marry this man because ... XYZ, which I may also be able to ascertain from the cards, but still, I mean, it's very basic. It's something that doesn't feel right to me. It's something that will still leave us probably a hell of a lot shorter than an hour, and that's what you paid for. But the most important reason that I don't answer yes or no questions is because they disempower the querent. They allow the querent to shirk the work that they are supposed to be doing within themselves. I view tarot as a tool. It is for formulating strategy. It is for exploring our emotions. It is for figuring out what it is that we really want. And we cannot do those things if all that is happening is that a querent is coming to the reader and saying, what should I do? And then going away and doing whatever the reader has told the querent to do. I don't see where any power can flourish in that kind of arrangement. And so I personally don't like that kind of arrangement, and it's just not something that I've ever done. The third reason that I don't answer yes or no questions is that they not only disempower the querent that I have in front of me, but they give me way too much power. Like, who the fuck am I to say if you should marry that guy or not? Who am I? Who is anyone? This is your life. It's only going to be you lying on your deathbed. You know, we really have to think about that. That's the sort of great seriousness with which I think of that sort of thing, the power that I think a tarot reading can have sometimes, you know. A tarot reading has moved me to tears before. Tarot readings have moved my clients to tears before. You know, whole life changes have been made off of the back of a bunch of cards and how they've been interpreted, and how they have given the querent the feeling that something should be done or shouldn't be done. I should in no way be given the power, the ultimate power, to wave a wand over your life and say, yes, this is what you should do. Like, it just does not feel at all healthy or right for me. In fact, it feels a little bit the other way. It feels, I want to say demonic or evil or some shit, but it's like, it's not, I don't want that much power. I don't want that much power, and I would question anyone who wanted that much power over me. Some of the most popular yes or no questions that you will definitely come across if you are a reader would be, is he cheating on me? That's one of the main ones. That's like top 5, basically. Let's do the top 5. Is he cheating on me? Should I leave my job or should I take this job? One or the other. Should I leave this relationship, you know, or stay in, you know, should I stay or should I go? The classic clash question. Number 4, will this business plan be successful or will it fail? And another sort of variation on that is, if I invest my money this way, will it be okay? Or will the money go down the toilet, you know? Or should I have children with this person? You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, those are some really big ones. Those are some really big ones, and they can all be reframed. You know, is he cheating can certainly be reframed, and I would have a particular preference as to how I would like that to be reframed. How can I deal with the fact that I feel that my partner is cheating is one way. You know, maybe even how could I find out if he is cheating? Why do I feel like I can't just straight up ask my husband if he's cheating? You know, that kind of thing. I want to go deep. I want to explore deeply. I don't just want to, you know, follow somebody around in their psyche who hasn't even booked a reading with me. I want to go deep into, why are we even asking this question in the first place? Whereabouts is the trust in this relationship, and is there enough to sustain this relationship? Oh no, wait, is there enough is a yes or no question. But you know what I mean. Whereabouts is the trust in this relationship? How can I build the trust again in this relationship? How can I open a portal of communication again in this relationship? When would be a good time to ask my husband how he feels about me and if he's cheating on me? You know, that kind of thing. How do I feel about my marriage? How should I feel about my marriage? You know, how can I improve my marriage? What should I contemplate when it comes to leaving my marriage? I like the word contemplate. a lot of clients that know me and have had a reading from me will know that I like contemplations on my job, contemplations on my husband, you know. So it's like, you know, you're just contemplating, and it's not really, you're not really putting a lot of pressure on the card. It's a very open conversation where we can really delve into the power of the complete spectrum of light and shadow of the card. Of course, I will still give a strong interpretation, because I do tend to give strong interpretations, and I do tend to have a very strong feeling. In fact, somebody told me the other day that they like how quickly I start talking as soon as I turn the cards over. The cards are speaking to me in very full sentences, so it's very quick that I start to make the connections and start talking, and I found that to be a really, really lovely compliment. Not that it matters if your reader needs some time and wants to really absorb everything first, that's fine too, and they're probably doing that out of responsibility to you, but I guess I just am a gas bagger when it comes to tarot. If you are worried that you are asking yes or no questions too frequently, or you would like to strengthen up the kinds of questions that you ask your cards, then here are some really good words that you could start your questions with. What, when, why, how, which, and whereabouts. Those are some really good ones. So you can say, what am I overlooking when it comes to this situation? What would be the best thing to do next in this situation? And then with when, you could say, when would be the right time to bring up this conversation? When would be the right time to move? When are new friends coming into my life? When can I expect new people to arrive? When would be a good time to surprise my partner? With why, you can say, why are things not working out the way I planned? Why do I always feel like I'm the one doing all the work in the relationship? Why do none of the 4 jobs I've had in the last year give me any satisfaction? Why can't I seem to find the place I belong in this world? With how, you could say, how can I create stronger bonds between myself and my children? How can I figure out which state I want to live in? How can I save more money and feel more abundant in life? With which, you could say, which job opportunity will afford me the most happiness and sustain me the longest? You could say something like, which characteristics and qualities should I be looking for in a future partner? Which red flags should I be making sure I can see in any future potential partner? With whereabouts, you can say, whereabouts do I need to focus my attention in the next 3 months? Whereabouts am I overusing my power and giving away my energy? Whereabouts am I being manipulated? Whereabouts am I manipulating somebody? Whereabouts am I struggling to see the truth right now? Whereabouts am I hiding my gold in my shadow? See how expansive these questions are? I just feel like this is a whole lot more nurturing. This is a whole lot more of a roast dinner. If you do want to do some hard prediction, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, by the way. You know, in fact, a lot of the time it just happens. Sometimes serious probabilities and really strong messages do come up, even when you've gone to a reader who has said, like, I don't do any hard prediction. I'm not going to tell you if your husband is going to leave you. I'm not going to tell you where you're going to end up or what you're going to do. It's really open because, you know, it's a chess game, and the chess game, you know, every time you move your piece on the board, the chess game changes, which is kind of what I believe. Even if you go to a reader who is really, really like, I am not hard predictive, you're still going to find that there are going to be some strong messages that might come through. I have definitely named specific gods and goddesses in the midst of a reading. I just couldn't help it. You know, when a client was looking for what god or goddess might be speaking to them, I have said straight up, I've been like, look, I cannot stop getting this goddess's name in my head and in my heart and all over my spirit, so I'm just going to fucking say it, basically. That's happened before, you know. I'm not going to hold that back. If that's coming through in the moment, then that's coming through in the moment. If I get a really strong sense of a very, very, you know, a probability that is extremely strong, I'm going to say so. Just in the same way that people who say that they are dead on, bang on psychics are going to sometimes look you in the eyeball and say, I don't know, this one's open. This one I can't be sure of. This one you're going to have to wait. You know, this is an avenue that you are not supposed to see yet. You're going to have to let divine timing do its thing. So even if sometimes there is somebody who says, I very much can tell you what is going to happen, they might not always be able to. And of course, yes or no questions are way, way more common when you are asking a deity or an ancestor or a guide, you know. I actually don't ask my deities yes or no questions, so I do a lot of divination. I do a lot of divinatory work with Hel, Norse goddess of the underworld. She is my matron. I work with her with the runes. I work with her with oracle, and I never ask her yes or no questions. I always still do fashion the question and reframe the question just as I would with a client. I don't ask her yes or no, but she will come into my life and give me clear signs of yes or no at times that I did not ask for, but that I needed at that moment, because that's what mother does. Not that she's a mother, but you know, she is in a way. So yeah, you know, a lot of people do say that they would not ask a reader yes or no, you know, tell me, should I do this? Like, yes or no. But they would ask, you know, their deity that question, for example. And I think that's kind of different. I want to talk a little bit now about the danger of being very disparaging towards people who answer yes or no questions, and the danger of being disparaging against the concept of asking a yes or no question in and of itself, you know. I think that hard prediction and fortune telling and things like that are very connected. You know, that whole idea and that whole style of reading is very connected to the Romani people, and the Romani are the people who actually popularized tarot and brought it into public consciousness, and suffered greatly for that and were very stigmatized for that, actually. So I think we need to avoid xenophobia by dismissing fortune telling, and I would like to say that in the past I have certainly made an effort to distance myself and distance my brand and my business from things like soothsaying, fortune telling. I've even said that I am not a psychic because the word comes with too much baggage, is what I said at the time. I don't know what baggage I meant, but I think there was definitely something going on there where I was trying to kind of describe myself subtly as a cut above what you might expect from a traditional kind of tarot reading experience. And look, let's get it right. Let's get it right on the nose. Okay, that is xenophobic, that is erasure, that is bigotry, and we need to really be avoiding that. And I'm not attacking anyone who has recently said like anything of the sort. I'm saying myself that I never realized before that when I was trying to be very specific about what I do provide, I was probably being xenophobic by dismissing the different ways in which Romani people have over hundreds of years used cards to predict fortunes. And I'm not saying that's all they've used the cards for, but I'm saying that I think this very adamant way in which contemporary online readers have been so kind of like, oh, I'm not like that, I'm over here like this, you know. I think we need to recognize that that does risk erasure, and that is xenophobic. It can be xenophobic. And anybody still dressing up like a Romani person who isn't of that ethnicity to do their readings at parties, you know, to have their photo taken for their website and all of that kind of thing, please rethink that. You know, I think that's something we can all stand to rethink. So, you know, I think under the banner of psychic, soothsayer and fortune teller, Romani people have been offering readings for a long time. And I think we've tried to extract ourselves from that and distance ourselves from it in ways that have constituted erasure and judgment. And I'm putting my hands up here and I'm saying myself included. And so I would like to do better. And I would like to avoid the suggestion that you get a better quality of product than you would do if you looked at something more, let's say, traditional. I owe Romani people and their interest in tarot and their embracing of tarot and their use of tarot as a economic support for their livelihoods. I owe them everything I have now. And in answer to the question that keeps coming up over and over again in my inbox, no, I do not think tarot is a fucking closed practice. And the majority of Romani people do not think so either. Romani readers are not saying that tarot is a closed practice. So please, it's not a closed practice. There is no historic basis for that. And when we start throwing around the term closed practice, at times where the practice is not closed, we are doing a disservice to those who are really trying to protect actually closed practices. But I do think that we can stand to look at the way that we talk about tarot and the way that we the way that we may have erasure in our language, or we may have bigotry in our language. Yeah, definitely. So just a couple more things that I want to get across then, my darlings. Spread design. I am a massive fan of spread design because I believe that giving each card a very specific job to do gleans the most opportunity for reflection and revelation. So if you are somebody who has a question, for example, what do I need to know about this brand new friendship? That could be a question that you have. If you just throw down 5 cards and there is no kind of like, you know, specific job assigned to any of those cards, you just throw them down and you reflect on them, and that is what you do, and that works fine for you, and you feel that that works. Far be it from me to take that away from you or tell you that you should not do it, okay? But what about this, just in case you're open to suggestion? Instead of a 5-card spread with no positions, what about if position 1 was, which strengths and qualities could I bring to this new friendship? Which strengths and qualities could they bring to the new friendship? So what have they got that is power, and what have I got that is my power? Question 3, what could the weak point or the issue be when it comes to me in this friendship? What do I got to watch out for if I want this friendship to flourish? Question 4, same in the other direction. What weak point or issue might they bring to the friendship? And that's only if you want to focus on the other person, you know. The 5th card could be, how might issues be resolved if they do arise in the friendship, you know? Or you could just say, you know, how can I make this relationship flourish? Or what would make this relationship flourish? Or what could the next step be in this friendship, you know? How can I protect this friendship? That kind of thing. I just feel like when every specific card has a job to do, then, you know, you can glean a lot more, you can gain a lot more from it. Now, what I will say is that I do offer a sacred patchwork reading. I will leave the details of that down below. That is the one and only reading that I do, apart from my bibliomancy reading. If you would like a bibliomancy reading with me, there is a bibliomancy reading, but you can actually select any of the tarot questions from any of my spreads to use for the bibliomancy reading. So but yeah, that's the only reading really, the sacred patchwork, where I kind of like let the cards do the talking without assigning them a job. But I like to assign them a job. So I just thought I would put that out there for anyone who just throws down some cards and has a think about it. Maybe they want to do something in a different way. That could be a way that you could do it. I also want to ask you a few questions that you would want to ask yourself before you get into asking any kind of question of tarot. How many cards do you have to play with, and how much time do you have? You know, I think that will affect the amount of questions that you're going to ask, the nature of the questions that you're going to ask. Is this a quick flip? Are you actually trying to make a decision right then and there in the moment? Is this something that is urgent? Is it something where you've gone to the cards because you've got something really on your mind right then and there? I mean, yeah, then of course you're going to want to play with maybe less cards, and you're going to want the questions to be really on the nose. Whereas if you've got more time, then you've got more cards to play with, and you can really be more exploratory, and it can be a little bit like going around the gardens of Versailles. You know what I mean? You can really get into it. What mood are you in when you ask questions of tarot? Do you want comfort or do you want strategy? I think using tarot can be no different to like picking up the phone to a friend. It's very, very useful to know, do you want to just contemplate the situation? Do you want comfort? Do you want strategy? Do you want to figure out a toolkit for making it better? Do you want a combination of all three? And are you sure that you fancy a reading at all? Are you ready? Are you in the best possible mindset that you could be in to get that reading at all? I think that's always a really important thing. And remember, you can always take a photograph of the cards and go back to them again. So please, if you are a person who sits there and agonises and thinks and overthinks and like spends way too much time on a particular spread, just take a photo of it, walk away, or have it out, you know, leave it on your altar, whatever you want to do, walk away, and then give yourself an opportunity to kind of have some more thoughts come up later on. Okay, that's all I've got to say. I hope that this has been useful. I hope it's explained why yes or no questions are not necessarily favoured, but I hope I've also done my best to explain why it's really important that we do not denigrate soothsaying, fortune telling, hard prediction, or any of those things, because I think they are associated with a marginalised group, and I think that's something that we have to kind of like have an awareness of, more of an awareness of, you know, in the tarot world. So I just thought I'd put that out there. Darlings, have you booked your tickets to the second Card Slinger Circle? It's happening on the 20th of March. Please go over and have a look at all the details. I would not want you to miss it. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be looking at our powers, the underused powers, the ones that we are giving away too much, and also the underused powers. What are your superpowers that are hidden away? What signature strengths have you been not recognizing that you could bring to the surface more? And it's going to be amazing. We're going to have a chat about what we actually received after we do our readings. We have an incredible body scan meditation to start us off. It's a really lovely vibe. Card Slinger Circle is my new like little workshop that I'm doing. Well, it's not little, it's 3 hours, but the 3 hours go by, I promise you that. It's a 3-hour Zoom event, and we would really like it if you could make your attendance there. So please do grab your ticket before the 20th of March and come and join us. Come and join us. Come and do a reading for yourself. Come and talk with everybody about what your cards meant, and we will share different feedback and different interpretations that we have, and hopefully make some friends. You can also grab an individual Card Slinger session with me. I will leave the link for that down below. And I would also like to advise anyone who has found this useful, pick up a copy of The Spread Machine by Kimberly San if you haven't already. So many awesome ideas on spread positions, my loves. It's really it really is a treat for anybody like me who is really into spread positions, making the most out of them, making tarot work for you by giving each card a really specific job. If you tend to find that difficult, or if you tend to find that your brain goes a little bit kind of like dead when you want to think of a really strong spread, Kimberly's got you covered as usual. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you so much. Thank you for my patrons, my doll faces and pop tarts, for selecting this topic, and I will be back. Much love and blessed be. Mwah. Happy card slinging, baby cakes.